No. His parents are super germophobic.
Okay.
His parents are super germophobic, so that's why he's not.
So, if I can turn your attention to the far board, that's your map for this week. This is the part of the mountain we're on. We're going to turn in confirmation paragraph 2 and 3 on Friday. So this is 2 paragraphs that are due. What I want you to do today, you've gotten your rubric back and your paper has been returned to you on Google Classroom. So today I think it'd be really good if you read over your rubric and you make all your changes, okay? Tomorrow I want you to focus on writing confirmation paragraph 2, and if you don't finish in class, I would finish it at home tomorrow. On Wednesday, we'll do confirmation paragraph 3, homework on Wednesday night. Thursday, we're gonna do revisions and peer editing. I liked the peer editing. I thought that was really helpful. Some of you, a lot of you gave very good feedback, and we're gonna focus specifically on banned words and some other criteria, so we'll do that on Thursday. And then Friday is rest stop. Does anybody remember what rest stop is?
I do.
Okay, you know, what is rest stop?
Trail party.
It's code for trail party. You guys are gonna bring food,
Yes.
and we're gonna celebrate that come Friday, when you turn in confirmation 2 and 3, you are over halfway to the top of Mount Many Pieces. Halfway through your Many Pieces. Isn't that a great idea? Or great thought that we're like almost there. Thank you, Olivia. So I am also calling this COVID Celebration Day because it was a year ago, this Friday, that we were having rest stop with last year's class, and
We
Mrs.
did come
Clausen
back.
came in and said, hey, y'all might want to take your stuff home. We don't know what's going to happen, but you might not be here on Monday. And sure enough, we never came back. So I don't know why it feels good to get to the 1 year point and be here and to have a party with you on Friday and know that I'll see you on Monday. Okay, I'm gonna ask everybody to close their computers. I have showered you with feedback that I do not want you to read right now, okay? 10 minutes of focused attention and then you can work. Catherine.
I'll tell you 2 things. One is soccer gets out at 3,
Yes.
and then 2, I just wanted to tell you about 2:45.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, so what do I need to say? There are some things that do mystify me. One thing that mystifies me is when I give you handouts and I say things like you need a topic sentence in your history paragraph, and then like some people don't have it. There's some communication thing going on, and here's my theory. My theory is that as you're sitting there in your desk and you're looking at me, your brain is somewhere else. You are thinking about what you're doing after school or the soccer game or about what Mrs. Childers said, and I need to ask this question. And so it's really hard for you to focus on when I'm doing group things, and you know I'll answer your questions. I want to encourage you that you would be receiving the information I give you today for 10 minutes and maybe not have to ask a question because you listened to it. So the thing I really want to focus on is in-text citations. Can anybody raise their hand and tell me what is an in-text citation? Maddie?
When you like put in statistics in your text, you want to say who you got it from, so it gives them credit.
You want to give credit, and this was kind of our first go at that, and if you did it, that's awesome. You got, the more you put into your paper, oh dear.
Can
I
we go get
really
copies?
not have a lot of these.
Do you want me to go get copies?
Oh no, there's more in the folder, okay. So, Lucy, you pass those back? The more effort you put into your paper, the more feedback you got. And that's good. And you might go like, wow, that is so nitpicky. Well, that just helps you in the editing process. But I did want to give you some feedback on signal phrases. I have exactly enough. Okay. Now, I gave you this sample outline, or I'm sorry, this sample mini thesis when we met for that week online. And when I checked your notebooks, I noticed
Wow, I
very,
can't read it.
what, can you tell whose it is?
Yes. Yeah.
Isabella has nothing to be ashamed of. I did make an effort to keep her identity secret, but the reason I'm using her paper is her paper is a good example to illustrate some things with. So, could you flip her paper over to the back and see the words cited?
Oh, you can have more excited on that. It doesn't have to be a separate sheet.
Okay, Charlie, I need those for you. No, it does need to be on separate sheets. That was just to conserve paper for you guys'.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Charlie, I'm gonna have to get a copy made for you. No, not for one. Charlie, you can look on with Kate, okay? Problem is, I have one, yeah, I've got one in here. So you guys, the first thing I wanna tell you about Isabella's is that she only has 8 sources. So I just wanna show you it's possible to do a mini thesis with 8 sources. Hers is far from perfect. At the very bottom, there are some problems with formatting, but I do want you to notice how it's alphabetized. And this is a funny thing, 2 years ago, you didn't have to say works cited, now you do. I'm sorry, you didn't have to say accessed, and now you do. But anyway, look on the front of hers. Because on the front, I want you to see how she did in-text citations. I think it helps a lot. So her first sentence is a quote, states Jerome Adams, a Surgeon General from Yale Medicine. And the in parentheses is the name Raven. Whatever is in parentheses should take you to the works cited page, and you should find that same name. Do you guys see it on?
Yeah, it's just crazy happening.
Now I don't have one that you're looking at.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's okay. I've got a version of it. Hmm?
I took home a thing.
Okay, but do you guys see how it's, yeah, look on with her for a second. So you see how it goes to Raven. Okay, turn back on the front page, and let's go down to the second paragraph where it says, in 2003, a Chinese pharmacist named Honk Lick invented the e-cigarette. And it says Arnold. Look on the back page. Do you see Arnold? Yes. So when you do in-text citations, what it is, it's the reference point. You're giving the very first word or couple of words that will be on the works cited page. Does that make sense? That's kind of an overview. Let me see if I can show you a signal phrase at the very beginning. Yeah, okay, turn on the second page. And the second paragraph where it says, one reason vaping is harmful to a person's health is because e-cigarettes contain harmful chemicals that can be damaging to a person's health. Nicotine is a drug with known health risks, and regardless of how it's delivered, it can cause addiction. Dr. Linda Riker, the Director of Policy Research and Analysis for the Center on Addiction, states, do you notice there is no source after her quote? Because in the signal phrase, her name is enough. If you go to the works cited page, you'll see Rickner. Okay, so you need to make clear where you're getting your information from, either in the signal phrase or in the parentheses where you put the last name of the author or you put the first 3 words of the article. Yes?
So you told me when I'm using Procon, and you told me to put the actual source. Do you want me citing that actual source?
Yes.
Because, okay.
And you know what, that's a good reminder for everybody. I can't remember which classes I've said this to, but Procon is a great resource. It shows lists of information, but if you're taking information that's footnoted in Procon, it's taking you to another source, and you want to cite the original source, okay? And you'll put the original source on your works cited page. Okay, do you guys see that? The other thing is, I want you, this is just great to have a sample. Hers is well organized. It's not super long. I think this was like the minimum length, maybe 5. Yeah, she almost got to 5. So if you just want to see what a mini thesis should look like finished, here it is. Okay, I feel really discombobulated, like I'm not used to being in front of a classroom. Did I give you edits from Rough Draft 1? Did I hand that out to you?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so let's about this. Every time that I'm grading your papers, I will do a list. I open a doc and I start writing down things that people are struggling with. Okay, so these are things in general. I want to say a word about signal phrases. How do you know when to use them, when not to? You have to give credit to whatever your source is. How do you know whether you put it in parentheses after it or you start with a signal phrase? Well, the reason you want to use a signal phrase is to increase your ethos, to make yourself look well read. So when I'm reading your paper, I can see where you got your information, but this paper is the basis for your mini thesis presentation. And nobody's going to be knowing what information you have in parentheses during your presentation. So it's good throughout your paper to have, and I would say in every confirmation point, you should have at least one signal phrase because it makes you appear well read, like you researched and you really know your topic. And when you do your signal phrase, I've given you a couple examples. There's the according to Nigel Simpson of Oxford University. But you can also change it. You could say Professor of Psychology at Oxford University, Dr. Nigel Simpson, asserts. When you have quotes, be careful not to use say and said. That's kind of the default words. You want to find some other words to use. And whoever you cite, you need to tell us who they are. Like the first quote really isn't that good because it doesn't tell us that Dr. Simpson is a professor of psychology. So give their credentials. Somebody did that and they gave all of their credentials. And you don't need all, like pick two. Like let's say that they're a researcher, professor, director, like just pick two of the most noteworthy credentials, okay? Now, sometimes you have direct quotes. Direct quotes help. It shows that you're well-researched, but sometimes, have you guys come across quotes that are a little confusing to understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're really nerdy academic quotes. You want to try to take those quotes and paraphrase them for your reader, but also for your audience because you're going to present eventually. So this quote is a good example of something I just think is heady. The argument is that students are being overworked and overwhelmed at the expense of their social development and the carefree lifestyle that is supposed to be associated with childhood. I just think that's super wordy, so you could just paraphrase that and say, homework is stressing students and taking away
Their social development.
the enjoyment of childhood. There's a lot of ways you could say it. Paraphrase things that are complicated, but you still have to give credit to the source. So I would still put the same source in parentheses, even though the information is no longer in quotation marks. Josh?
Yeah.
Was that it? Okay. Okay, insert in-text citation. So that's going to be a big thing for you guys. Today I want you to go through and insert in-text citations. And a lot of people did it very well in confirmation point, but didn't do it in history. So if you tell me that the NCAA was founded in when, Charlie? Do you remember? 1907? I don't remember. Okay, the NCAA was founded in 1907. You put that in history. Well, obviously, I'm not carrying around that in my mind. So I would put the source after that. So remember, you need sources in history. Mm-hmm.
Do you put the in-text citations right after the statistic, or like what the information,
Put
or do
it
you put it all after the entire sentence?
After the entire sentence.
Even if some of the other information comes from different sentences, or different sources?
No, so you're saying if you had information in the sentence that comes from two sources, then you would have to put your evidence right after, your source right after, okay? Usually you're gonna have one sentence that comes from one source, okay? Okay, couple other little things. This was a favorite. Anybody use etc.? Do you know what that means?
And more.
And more? No, to me it means I don't know what to say, okay? So you don't need to use that at all, like just end it. There's another thing that people would do at the end of their sentences. Do you know what those are called?
Ellipses.
Ellipses, good. And ellipses to me say, I ran out of things to say, or I'm tired. So you don't want to do ellipses with one exception. Okay, Jacob, put your screen down. and you should probably write this down, use ellipses in quotations. So let's say that you have a quotation and it's 13 sentences long, and you like the first sentence and you like the last sentence. Then you would do the first sentence, dot, 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 okay, there's more, there's something missing, and then the second sentence. Okay, that would be the only time you need to use ellipses. And then another thing I saw a lot of were parentheses, people putting information in parentheses. Either the information means enough to be included in the sentence, or you're gonna cut it out. Don't put any information in parentheses. Okay, what else? Pay attention to hyphenated words. Did you guys know that 18-year-old is hyphenated?
Yeah. I had to learn that.
Yes, of course you did with your topic. So, you know, how do you know if a word is hyphenated?
You look it up in the dictionary.
What,
Check
Maddie?
You look it up in the dictionary.
That
Check
is
Google.
so crazy. You could look it up in the dictionary. Somebody said something else.
Use Google.
You just Google it. I can't tell you how many things I Googled, Olivia, Catherine, in reading your papers, because I was like, north, south aren't capitalized because they're directions. But what if you're talking about the Civil War? Yes, they are capitalized. Is COVID always capitalized?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So I just started looking things up, and you have that same tool. If you're not sure if a word is hyphenated, just Google it. But I will give you a clue. If you put a noun with a verb to create an adjective, it's almost always hyphenated. So I gave you an example there, like growth seeking. That's a noun with a verb, hyphenated. It becomes an adjective. But use that. And I made corrections as I went along, but if you're not sure, you can just Google it. Maddie.
Is like COVID all capitalized or just the same?
Just
No.
to see.
Just the C, but that was another one. Some people were using COVID all capitalized.
This is your phone.
Abbreviation.
Have it on your phone that doesn't all capitalize. Because it's coronavirus.
I don't know, but I Google and I look at a couple of sources to see. I don't just look at one. Okay? Okay, pay attention to capitalization, and then banned words. This class has a really good vocabulary. Your word selection and some of your sentence structures work wonderful. But banned words are going to be part of our peer editing on Thursday. Okay, I think I'm over in text citations, I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions? Maddie?
So I use many, but then I realized it's a banned word.
No,
and then-
don't, many should not be a banned word. I'll tell you what is really funny, and I know that you guys got this somewhere, but you're really into using the word amount.
Because we couldn't ever use many.
Yeah.
Okay, many's fine.
Multiple.
Multiple, many. You know what else is good? A number of. Instead of saying a large amount of people, you could say a number of people.
Or numerous.
Or numerous people, okay? So just know I do not object to many, and in the large academic world of writing, many is just a useful word. And to me, it's really different from a lot and big and sad. Like those are very low level words, but many,
I like the word sad.
it's
And happy.
useful.
Don't have vocabulary.
Okay, I know, but for academic writing, they're not so good.
Okay.
So